just one last question for you, and that is, let's flip it now. If you were talking to an executive, what advice would you give them on leveraging business architecture?
So the first thing is, if you want to be able to make the right decisions in your company, so you're an executive and your role is there to help the company prosper, grow, be sustainable, add value, and you want to do it right, and you want to do it, when I say do it right, it means you want to do it effectively, efficiently, get the best possible ROI, then you need that clear, open-minded, uncompromised source of truth that supports you to help you make the best decisions possible. And so with that said, if you don't empower that role to do its job properly to help you, then that's where, you know, you've lost the game, essentially. If you think about the concept of running business as a game, or, you know, you've lost it. You need to have that objective, open-minded role or person or team to support you, to help you make the best possible decisions, provide you with the best possible recommendations. And you need to make sure that they are empowered with the right mandate to be able to do that and not be compromised. That's the most important thing. I think that you should see a role for that. You can call it business architecture. You can call it your data science function if you want. Some companies call it that. Yeah, they call their data science function that design authority or whatever it is, you know, innovation center. There's so many different ways with which a company can approach it, okay, in that practice. And some of them call it business architecture. I think it's a good term and a good name to give it if that's what you see it as, if that's what it's actually doing. But it's the most important thing is to see the role that it plays, give it its place, make sure it exists, and then empower it with the mandate to do its best. Otherwise, you failed.
Well said. Well said. Well, do you have any final closing comments that you'd like to leave us with?
No, really. I mean, this has been really, really interesting, and hopefully it gives, you know, a flavor of the art as well as the science of business architecture, which is something that I really, really like to talk about. I mean, I call it the art and science of strategy in general, okay? And again, whether you want to call it strategy, whether you want to call it business architecture, whether you want to call it digital transformation, you can call it whatever you want to call it. I think the important thing is to understand the context, the problems that you're solving, and also the people that you work with. Some people like to call things something. And if you are going to be effective in whatever role that you play, you do need to be speaking the language of those people. So imagine, you know, if you are the person who can do so much and offer so much, and you get placed in a new land or a new country or a new planet, and everybody speaks a different language, okay, then you're not going to, if you can't communicate with them in their language to give them the value and do all the things that you can do for them, then nobody's going to want to work with you and and they're not going to receive any of the value that you have. So what you have to do is find out what are their needs, what is the context, what's the situation, what is the language that they use to describe that context and that situation, those problems, and then go away and do what you do best as a business architect, a problem solver, who pulls together all the right data and information, adds in all the right dimensions, adds in the people, adds in, you know, all the different components of the operating model, which is what it takes to actually run or do something, including a business, and then go away and actually provide that strategy and that architect and that those viewpoints to all the people who want to receive it or who need it. And then at the end of the day, you have to empower them to make the right decisions, not to make the decisions for them. You know, it's you can even take business architecture into parenting. I mean, if you were a parent, you can't make the decisions for your child, okay? And actually, if you did, that is not a good thing, right? You can't save your child from making mistakes by making the mistakes for them. You can't impose your own career desires on them and make them pursue something that you don't want to do, Okay, that is the same. All right. For what you do, if you are working in business and whatever the contribution or value that you have to society, I think that in the current world that we live in, when we've got a pandemic, when we've got people, in dire straits from health issues as well as wealth issues, as well as all sorts of other issues, from fake news to whatever else there might be out there, there's an opportunity here to play that role of problem solver, and that's why I don't particularly term myself as a business architecture, except for people who know me, who know who understand what that actually is. I prefer to sometimes call myself a professional problem solver. or there's a new term, somebody called me a growth architect recently, because I look at helping people to grow again, or whatever you want to call it. Again, titles shouldn't matter. It's about what you do, and whether you're happy with what it is that you do, and whether you're empowered to do what it is that you can do, so that you can actually provide the most value. That's again, sounds rather philosophical, but maybe we're in a place and in a world right now that kind of needs that.
That's right. Love it. I love it. Julie, thank you so much for your generously sharing your time, your insights. You've given me and all of us so much to think about. So really appreciate you being here. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. And if people want to learn more from you or about the strategy journey, they can, of course, go pick up a copy of the Strategy Journey book. And people can also go to your website.
If they go to strategyjourney.com, then they should be able to get a sample of the book. So at the moment, you can download, just give us your email, obviously, but download a sample of the book to sort of have a look at the first 60 or 80 pages to give you a flavor of what it is before you get into it. And hopefully the book is, it's not just a book of theory, as we've said about it. It's an illustrated guide, I'd like to call it. There are over 1,000 images in the book. It's supposed to tell a story about journeys. And so you can't really do that with just words. You have to be able to bring it to life through illustrations as well, in how people visualize all of these different things that are changing the world, and that we need to be involved in. So yeah, I mean, strategyjourney.com for those who want either to buy the actual book or to get the free sample.
Beautiful. And if you'd like to learn more about the art and the science of business architecture, you can go to bizarchmastery.com. You'll find a ton of resources out there, and you can join me in the inner circle for some group coaching, or join one of our upcoming programs or events. So Julie, thank you so much again for joining us today. This was really fun, really enlightening. And thank you all for joining us. Hopefully you learned a lot. We wish you the best of luck on your strategy journey, on your business architecture journey, and we'll talk with you next time.